This is JBM from VillainNews. It's December 14th, 2012, and it was the debut of part 1 of the adaptation of the book from J.R.R. Tolkien, which was the prequel to The Lord of the Rings. It was actually the first book that he wrote on Middle-earth. Then his publishers pressured him to write the sequel, and he made that one more darker, that story more darker. This one is just focused on, if you're just like a fan of the films that came out from 2001 to 2003, you're just a casual Lord of the Rings fan, I suggest check out the audiobook. You could listen to it on YouTube, watch the 1977 animated movie of The Hobbit. Very awesome. You can find out the rest of the story. So in this one, they only tell about a third, I'd say more about 40% of the book. And then also they add templates of other works, of unfinished works and Middle-earth history that J.R.R. Tolkien did. And it really exceeded, or basically matched, every expectation I had for it. It's just awesome. They were going to do 2 movies, then they stretched it into now 3. And they're all going to be about 2 hours and 40 minutes long. Just epic for an epic tale. So Peter Jackson came back. It was going to be Guillermo del Toro, but I like that Peter Jackson was able to return. That really added to it, and it made it feel like the same world. You get to see Gandalf actually kicking a lot of ass, like more ass than he really does in Fellowship of the Ring or a lot of other movies. Christopher Lee, if you don't know him, he's been in over 250 movies. He's about, I think he turned 90 years old this year. They did CG on his face to make him look younger to reprise his role as Saruman, the head of the White Council Wizard. And those are all subplots that they added. And now I just got to talk about the CGI and the scenery. As much as I love the original trilogy and all the visuals for that, they even upped the ante. And the CGI, you know, like the CGI for, like, let's say the Star Wars prequels was like more cartoonish. Now it's more detailed and elaborate, and it looks more real, and wow, just fantastic. Mixed with the new droppings and the settings of around New Zealand that they chose for Middle-earth, combined with the CGI work and the different creatures. There's a lot more races and creatures in this than there is in the Lord of the Rings movies. Maybe just in this one movie, An Unexpected Journey. The 3 trolls, great. Oh, I gotta say the Lonely Mountain. I just gotta talk about the cities first. Lonely Mountain, where the former home of the dwarves, that looked amazing. Like they say, it's only your only limitations now is your imagination. They imagined some of the most amazing set pieces, and the action was kicked up a notch. Like I said, you got to see Gandalf kicking ass. I did not expect Lonely Mountain to be that huge, and Smaug was in it. In the golden treasure room, and they also add the subplot of the Orcs and the Dwarves' War that J.R.R. wrote about in the history of Middle-earth. That I did not expect. And they had the debut, basically, of Azog, who is basically the second villain in this trilogy. Oh my god. They cut off his arm, but in the original writings, he was killed and his son took over. Like, he isn't really the leader of the goblins or the orcs. Orcs and goblins are the same thing in J.R.R. Tolkien's world. But basically he had his own gang, and he was kind of like a commander of the military, basically. And in this, they think he's dead, but he's hunting them the whole time, and they meet up, and they have a conversation in an action scene. Just fucking amazing. I cannot believe it. The stakes might not be as high. It's only about recapturing the dwarf's homeland of the dragon that took over the treasure, everyone knows. Because in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, it's about the end of the world and Saruman, the Dark Lord, and his allegiance with the Orcs and the head wizard, Saruman, Christopher Lee's character. Well, in this one, it's just about the dragon recapturing the homeland, but it's a lot more deeper than that. Like, the story is easy to follow if you're not familiar with it, but like Destin Keckler was saying, it's a lot more intricate. Lord of the Rings movies are a lot more intricate, and they go over a lot more characters and a lot more city names, and you have to be more familiar with the world to follow the ins and outs of it. He just really made this for the fans. If he was making it just for the average person, like, it would only been 2 films, but to stretch it out for 3 films, I cannot wait to rewatch all these. Like, I just love to rewatch all the original trilogy, and this one's just going to be even more. Like, if you have the chance to see it in 3D, one of the best 3D experiences you could ever see. Because most of the 3D and CGI, you see it in like CGI movies, but this one, there's a lot of scenery to see it with, mixed with the CGI creatures. Is just beautiful. Visual ecstasy. Not much more to say. So, I gotta do a villain profile on Azog coming up. I cannot even wait. Bilbo, all the actors performed great. Bilbo and Thorin, and all the dwarves weren't as annoying as I thought they would be. One drawback that if I had to say something negative about this, I'd say the soundtrack isn't as dark as like the Lord of the Rings soundtrack. And for this one, it's more upbeat. I didn't really like that, but I just rolled with the punches, But once he finds the ring, and it's the infamous Gollum scene that's about 20 minutes long, they do the Lord of the Rings music once he gets the ring finally, and that's about 2 hours into the movie. And then the fight out of the goblin, they don't really talk about that in the book because Bilbo gets sidetracked and lost, and then he gets in the crack of the mountain in the Misty Mountains, and he finds the ring of Gollum, and he gets into a game of riddles with him. And then they don't really show the escape of the dwarves in the book or talk about it or in the movie. But in this, it's a really long scene, and Gandalf's kicking a lot of ass, and they end up slicing this freaking goblin, the Goblin King, the Great Goblin is what I think they call him. This is the action figure. His belly and his neck, it's freaking insane. I'm going to give it an A-, probably an A. I mean, God, I love the subplot that they chose of the orc, Azog hunting them, just fucking amazing. And then the dwarf drying his nugs on the fire. There was so many little hilarious scenes of the dwarfs all smoke, and then Gandalf lights the pipe with his freaking finger. I could just talk about this forever, but I don't want this to go on too long. This is about an 8-minute review now. This was JBM from VillainNews, MrCreepshow09. Those are my horror and comic book movie channels. Click on it for more discussions. PM me if you want to talk about Lord of the Rings or whatnot, or do a podcast. I'm out.